mute button. There we go. My mute button was on. So, like my first time on Zoom, right? Like everyone else. How are you this morning, Autumn? Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here.
So, what we're going to talk about this morning is just, thinking about what are your next moves in real estate? What are your sometimes first moves? A lot of questions about that. And what it is people say, "All right, I'm starting to do some business, which is great. And now I'm getting busy. And I know that times are different, but there are some of us that are busy and we need an assistant. We need that person to help us. And so you have to look at it and go, who is that person? And a lot of people say, oh, is that a buyer's agent? And uh, I would have to say that's the wrong first person. The right first person is actually an assistant, a true assistant. And I got in the business, a little bit about me, in 1999. Realized pretty quickly after working 7 days a week, only taking off vacation, but really not taking off for vacation, that there's just not enough time in the day to get everything done. And I had a young family at the time. So if you do the math, that was 25 years ago. Now I don't even have any teenagers. They're all in their 20s. So, but during that time when they were young, is I just couldn't get everything done. So you have to have an assistant. And that's what I really want to talk about again this morning is that assistant again, and I know I'm repeating myself, is not a buyer's agent. It's an assistant. Like the term is an executive assistant. One can call that person. The old school of a secretary, not really. This is someone that's going to help you. You can actually have an in-person assistant or a virtual assistant. And VAs have been the rage probably for about, I don't know. I tried my first VA in 2008. Didn't go very well. I believe I tried again in about 2012. Just I did not make the commitment because I also had an in-person assistant. And that in-person assistant felt the VA was a little bit of a challenge to them. So you have that dynamic there that you have to really pay attention to. So, but with that is you want to look for a person or a company that can do that for you. So if you're like, no, Brian, I want somebody that will pick up my dry cleaning, pick up my kids after school if I need them. Well, right away, just those first two things, VA, virtual assistant, out, no way. So you'll need an in-person assistant, and you have to figure out where to find them. You can start searching on Indeed. Okay, could be expensive. And then there's lots of other programs that you can. That you can even go to LinkedIn. And I would also go to Facebook, where Facebook and LinkedIn could be free. You could also pay for advertising there. But you can sit there and let all your friends know multiple times and do videos, what you need help with, and be excited in the video. Say, I want to thank all my friends and clients that have helped me grow my business. And now I'm looking for an assistant. And with that is if you give to people, people will want to give back to you. You might find out like, oh my gosh, there's a person that you may have helped them and either their spouse, their adult child, or themselves are looking to want to be an executive assistant. With me, like even right now, I even looked at one of my children graduated from Colorado State. Go Rams. Not my school, but that's where she went. So, and my money went. But one of her friends who's wanted to get into teaching uh, has had a little tougher time in it. Well, teachers are great people to be assistants. They can listen. They can listen to clients. They can listen to you. They're usually very organized. So all of a sudden, that might be an option. And they're coming out of school. They're going to, want a decent salary or hourly, But if you look at if they're doing like preschool, believe it or not, preschool people get paid like just above minimum wage. So you could pay someone to, above minimum wage or even a little bit more. And with bonuses involved, have a great person working for you, which was literally said to you by your sphere. And your sphere can include your family. So you need to put it out there in the universe that you're looking for an assistant, especially if you're looking for a live person. Now, you may want to think like, well, where does that person work? Well, they could work from their home, or you could have an office. Obviously, with EXP, we have the affiliation with Regis. So you can do that, or you could get your own office space, or depending on the size of your home, you can actually have that person come to your home. All these different things in this new world are like acceptable. Or you could just meet once a week at your local rec center, Starbucks, the library, the list goes on. There's lots of places where you can get free offices. Maybe you meet with that person 2 or 3 times a week at one of those locations. So now let's say you've got this pool of candidates. I would highly recommend using the DISC profile, DISC. D is, a driver. I is an influencer. And S is somebody who's very organized and likes security. And a C is somebody like an engineer that they want to know all the details. What you're really looking for this assistant is an S, higher S, and a C, and also some I. If you get an assistant with a D, you'll probably be butting heads. Even a buyer's agent with a D, you could sometimes be butting heads. So that I is also very important because that means influencer, that they can take care of clients and take care of calls. Now, this assistant, like a personal assistant, that's the word I was looking for, or executive assistant, this person could be different than someone that does all your contracts. You might have a virtual assistant for someone to help you with all your contracts, not necessarily writing them, but just sending them out and making sure everything's organized. And also very important for time issues is that person can make sure that everything's uploaded into EXP so that you get paid on time. And that's rewarding because I've been in real estate so long that we used to have to hand everything in, actually drive into the office if you worked out of your home, and then have to wait for that person to review it, then the broker to review it. So now everything is so much faster. And that will save you time for everything. That the whole purpose of having an assistant is so that you can do A activities. We could talk about that at a later date, but really A activities are activities that will help you produce money instead of a B activity, which, maybe, meeting with your sphere, that somewhat could be an A activity, but showing a home is an A. And a C activity is doing paperwork. So, but you're like, well, I can't get paid unless I do my paperwork. You're correct. But that's something that you can have other people do. Maybe that's all that one person. And that one person, as an executive assistant, you may have to pay a pretty good salary and bonuses per closing. So if you have any questions, please, put them into the chat box and we can go from there. So I'm just going to look in the chat just to see if I see anything. And I'm not seeing anything from anybody right now. So, but please feel free to do that. So I'll go back to talking about now going out into the universe again. Go out to your fellow realtors, EXP friends, and say, hey, who has a virtual assistant? I'm looking at getting an assistant. And then you could go to a mastermind. I mean, Jesse has his masterminds every Monday in the Agent Collective where we are right now. And you could ask that question. I did. I had an assistant that was my personal assistant. Let me rephrase. She was my executive assistant for 21 years. And last summer, a little over a year ago, we parted ways. She was moving out of state. She wanted to do virtually. And I knew that with the loyalty that she had and the salary that she made, and my sales were going down. I mean, I know this is not all just Facebook happy here, is I couldn't afford her because there's alternatives out there. So I went into the VA world. And thank you, Ed Lane, got me in touch with a great company. And now I hired a part-time assistant, which has been very helpful in helping me with flyers, social media, and she's actually helping me with some bookkeeping now. So you like role can expand as the trust expands with the VA. So I'll just say that Monica has been absolutely fantastic and really enjoy having her. The communication is fantastic. So maybe you start with a part-time VA, trying to find a part-time executive or personal assistant or real estate assistant is doable but difficult. You may have to share that person with other people. And so then you can talk to other agents maybe in your state or in your MLS or geographically close by to ask them what is the best assistant and are they interested? Because sometimes, even like with my assistant, is we're getting to the point of, all right, how can we make sure that we provide a good income for you and your family, but the sales are down? Maybe start sharing you with others, or maybe you start going out there and getting more clients. So it was, it, the real estate market is just constantly changing. So with that is you have to have good footwork and you have to really watch your costs. There could be lots of videos about costs. So I will just go into that in a minute. Is like I'm in the Boulder, Colorado, Denver, Colorado area. Minimum wage, I should know this off the top of my head, but I think it's right around $17 an hour. That is a lot of money when you start doing the math. And of course, just always have a calculator nearby. 17 times 40 times 52. You're talking about $35,000 a year for minimum wage. But let's say you don't want minimum wage, you want $20 an hour. That person is going to be 41,600. So then you have to look at all the tax costs that it will cost to have that person. Maybe you have to hire a payroll company. Maybe you do it on QuickBooks. All these are extra costs that you may have. So when you hire a person, I'm not telling you to go VA, but when you hire a VA, that company takes care of all the billing and all the costs, and you just get one monthly bill based on the hours worked. Where, the person here, you have lots of things that can go into that, like FICA and Social Security and payroll and making sure you're doing that right. And then let's say it doesn't work out. And then there's unemployment and those costs. And also, it's not fun letting people go, or even if it just doesn't work out, that's not fun. So there's lots of risks with both a VA and an in-person assistant. So again, I'm just going to look into the chat box and see what you all are thinking or any questions that are out there. And we're not having any, so I guess I will just keep talking about some of the other risks and rewards. And also, again, where to look for this assistant. So the in-person assistant is one place I didn't go to is we talked about your sphere, and within that sphere is even your own community. If you're farming an area, put on your farm that you're looking for an assistant, maybe part-time. Maybe they have and I've gone to DECA, which is an acronym for high school business students. And I've hired DECA students because they needed to work so many hours to get their DECA fulfillment satisfied. And that was another resource. And that was a learning experience because they wanted to learn how to be professional. So I was helping them. And there's all these different ways that you can look at it to potentially help save you money. And then if you get in with the school with DECA, that's a great way of networking too, because then you're actually helping students. Those students' parents know who you are. So that's where you want to make sure that you're actually inputting and giving to the students so that they don't come home and say, yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that realtor has no idea what they're doing. And the parents just told everybody how great that they have this internship with you as the realtor, and it's not going well. So there's always like the yin and the yang. And if you've seen me on the Monday morning calls or leading those, you'll always say that I will tell you about the positives and then the negatives, because it's good to have a devil's advocate there just to make sure you know what you're doing and what the risks are. So that is another risk, but it's a great reward because it could be a very inexpensive way to bring in a person that is physically there. So I would recommend an office atmosphere, because then also, again, having a person coming over to your house, there's a lot of different things that could happen, and you just don't want to put yourself in that situation. I've been coaching youth lacrosse for 15 years. And one of the first things that they talked about even 15 years ago is never always have two coaches. If a child is not picked up on time, just don't have one coach in that child. Even if the parents are late, it's not your fault. So I would look at that, because that is some of the more serious things. And again, that person could then, on the positive, that person decides, hey, they're graduating, and they tell everybody about DECA, and then you can maybe get a rising sophomore, or excuse me, or junior, and have that person work for you for 2 years. And then maybe they go to school, or maybe they come to work for you full time. So there is a lot of great ways on how to find that person if you want it, if you want that, when I say it, that position to be a real live person. Again, with VA, lots of different companies. Okay, there's VA companies. Just obviously everybody knows the main country is, I'll hesitate here for a second. You probably thought it in your mind already. Yes, the Philippines. Another major one is that you're starting to see Belize and people off in South America and Central America, and expats that are living in Central America that are looking for jobs remotely so that they can live in the islands and still get their work done. What's cool about those is those time zones are usually a lot better and more friendly. So then the Philippines is a different time zone, yet it works very well both. So it just depends. And then you could you can make a decision that you're looking for a bilingual assistant. And when I mean bilingual, where I'm at, we have a very heavy Spanish population. So it'd be great if you found someone that was bilingual. That could help a lot. And then once you have the right executive assistant, VA, personal assistant, executive assistant, or sharing an assistant, that's where then you could have multiple VAs or multiple assistants as you're growing. And when you do that, or if you're at that point where your assistant is busy enough, and busy is, in the beginning, maybe 1 or 2 deals a month, that might not justify, depending on your price point, to have an in-person assistant. But let's just say you're doing 3 or 4 a month consistently, just not 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden 0, 0, 3 or 4. Well, then you could probably handle that. But still having an assistant will hopefully take those rides out of it, because it will allow you to focus on those producing activities of, networking, calling, following up, meeting people. So that's where your also assistant can help you with the follow-up as well, making sure that you're on track. Be ready for an assistant to tell you what to do. If they're in person again, they could have 5 letters ready for you, or 5 notes that they saw who you talked to yesterday, a little personal note. You could sign it. It's already addressed and has a stamp on it, so you can get it out the door. And the assistant can check in with you each day, a VA assistant, and asking you if you've written your personal notes. And you can make it fun and have fun with it so that they can help you grow your business. All these are things that I will put in for autumn, some ideas that executive assistants can do. Those are for me. At the same time, AI. AI is another great assistant for you. Is ask AI what to look for in a real estate assistant, an executive assistant, a personal assistant, a part-time real estate assistant. and a VA real estate assistant. All ChatGPT can help you with that. Also, there's Gemini from Microsoft. I'm using that a little bit more to help me. And with my VA, we're using AI not to take Monica's job away, but to help Monica be better at her job. So again, all these things, the real estate's changing all the time. We all have to be able to adapt. And we adapt, we win. If you don't adapt, it's not going to be very good. So again, I'm just going to look real quickly. No one's in the chat room, so no questions today, which sometimes can be wonderful, but I'll leave it open for the next couple minutes. Any questions, please? About anything. All right, we have a quiet group today, which is absolutely understandable, and that's perfectly fine. Go back and look at this recording and see if there's any nuggets that you may have missed, because I do that as I go back and listen to a recording a couple of times, because the first time I'm listening, taking some notes, but I may have missed something. So again, where do you find your assistant if you want someone in person? Is through your sphere. Put it out there in the world. People, you've helped people, people will want to help you. The same as in, if you're looking for VA, go out to your real estate world, see which companies are good, see what their costs are. And then I would recommend a disc profile just to make sure you're hiring the right person. Not necessarily, I call it the bus. You're lead driving the bus, but you need to have people in the right seats on the bus. You could hire a great person, but they're in the wrong seat, and that doesn't work out. So even, I'll just go back to this, my assistant that was with me for 21 years, she saw all the revenue that was coming in. So she wanted to be a buyer's agent. So I said, okay, but I said, you're not really, in my opinion, wired that way, but you know what? You want to, she wanted to, I encouraged her. She helped me find a replacement. She went out and was a buyer's agent for 8 months, hated it, came back. Her replacement was doing such a good job. Guess what? My business had grown so that I could come back, and I had 2 assistants, and it was fantastic. So it's there. You just have to communicate and talk with people. You will need, and one thing I did forget to say earlier, is you will need to have those weekly check-ins with that individual, okay, for 30 minutes once a week, just to see how they're doing. And what I mean how they're doing is where they are with all the tasks that you've given them, if it's the same top 10, or if the top 10 have changed. And I would check in with that person most likely daily or every other day, because your assistant is your right hand and you need to stay on track. So then when business grows, you hire that buyer's agent and do the disc test again. You stay on track with that person too by weekly check-ins and doing, I learned from in my past career in other companies, the 1-3-5, what is important, what are their actions, and what steps are they taking? So again, my name's Brian Margolis. I'm in the Boulder, Colorado area, Denver, been serving clients since 1999. I've known Jesse and a lot of the guys and gals at EXP for 15 plus years. Really enjoy it. I love the giving atmosphere, and I'm glad, and hopefully this was somewhat productive for some of you who are thinking about making those next steps of hiring an assistant. And feel free to reach out to me. Autumn has all my contact info, but I'm sure there'll be links down below that you can check out. I'll look one last time for the chat room. If not, Bueller, thank you very much for participating. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Jesse and Autumn.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.